On today's show, the Golden State Warriors fall to the Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs goes on a run. We'll talk about what's going on in Golden State. Then Jamal Murray has a breakout game with the Denver Nuggets against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll break all that down, and then we'll power rank our breakout players of the season so far. Talk about all that and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow is to comment anything below. Let us know. There's only 2 games, so let me know your 2 stars of the night. Let us know in the comments below. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. And joining me, as always on a Friday, host of Locked On Nuggets. What you got for me, Adam Mares?
I got a short night in the NBA. Not a lot going on, but stuff to talk about nonetheless.
Not a lot going on.
Well, not a lot going on the court.
Nothing going on in the NBA. If you heard the cold open and you didn't skip it, like I know some of you probably do, we're not going to go into the Kyrie stuff. We're not going to talk about Miles Bridges. We're not going to talk about the Josh Primo story. We're going to avoid all that today because there's basketball that actually played, and we're Locked On NBA, so we want to talk about the basketball that happened and focus on that. And that's what you come to us for, to hear us talk about basketball and to hear about your teams and not about the off-the-court stuff as much. So let's focus on these games tonight. Orlando gets the win against Golden State, an improbable win in Orlando, 130-129 against the Golden State Warriors, where it was just kind of up and down. Felt like the Golden State Warriors went on their normal second quarter run. Third quarter, they were holding on to their lead, and then all of a sudden, the Orlando Magic, they just start creeping back in. They go on this third quarter into the fourth quarter run where at one point, Golden State was up 15 in the midway through the third quarter, and then by midway through the fourth quarter, Orlando was up 9. It was this run where just you could see the Golden State Warriors just collapsing in front of you. And then it was Suggs time. Give me some Suggs. He just took over 15 points in the fourth quarter, had an incredible steal with about a minute to go, just right in Steph Curry's face. It was wild. He's face guarding Steph Curry on the top of the key. Steph Curry was trying to swing the ball to his right and tries to throw a pass, and Suggs grabs it out of the air and gets fouled by Curry. It was just an incredible play. And then right after that, Curry tied the game with a 3, and then Suggs hit a pull-up 3. I'm like, who is this guy? Who are we watching with Jalen Suggs right now? They end up getting the win, an incredible win for the Orlando Magic. But I think we have to start with the Warriors, Adam. What's happening to the Warriors right now?
Well, I think the thing I look at, 43 points in the third quarter. The Golden State Warriors gave up 43. It is difficult to score 43 points in a quarter in an NBA game. And we all know that the Golden State Warriors have made their name, they made their reputation, and won championships in large part with their defense. They've been a better defensive team than offensive team over the last several years. Orlando, a tanking team. They got young guys. They play hard, but not exactly a veteran team. And they dropped 43 points on you. I think that's what I look at with this Warriors team is in years past, you have new pieces. You got young guys. You're trying to bring them along, but you can hang your hat on defense. This year, so far, that has not been the case. I believe, I'm looking at the stats here on NBA.com. Golden State Warriors ranked 26th in defensive rating this season so far. Unfamiliar territory for them.
They gave up 77 points in the second half to this Orlando Magic team that is missing all of their guards. No Cole Anthony, no Markelle Fultz, no Gary Harris, obviously. No Terrence Ross, who'd been starting for them. Jonathan Isaac's still out. They're missing all of their guards here. They're starting these huge lineups except for Suggs, and they're giving up all these points. Paolo Banchero had 18 of his 20-something in the second half. Jalen Suggs obviously had the 15 in the fourth quarter, but with the Warriors, it seems like they're really trying to bring along these young guys. They're trying to bring along James Wiseman and Moody, and they were supposed to be bringing along Kuminga. He's just not getting playing time at all. They're playing Ty Jerome 14 minutes instead of Kuminga.
To me, that's the big story. I mean, look, James Wiseman, I know that he was a top pick. He's the guy that if you just said where they were drafted, what the expectation was coming in, it's a guy you feel you should invest in. I don't have faith in James Wiseman. I think anybody that watched him play last time he was healthy, but especially this year, you just see that he is far away from being at the level that the Golden State Warriors expect. And so he only played 10 minutes tonight, but I'm still surprised that he is getting the go ahead of Jonathan Kuminga. I know Kuminga has had an up and down, like in the minutes he has played this year, they've been a little bit up and down, a little bit uneven. But I think that I have seen enough from Kuminga last season to believe that 1,000, 1,500 minutes this season would bring him along and be an impact player by the time they arrive at the playoffs. So to see not only them having Wiseman, who has thus far been a complete and total anchor on them. I mean, he's in the negative every single night. There was a stat I saw today of like the 44 games he's played, 36 of them he's been a 0 or a negative. I might have missed that by 1 or 2, but not by much.
-9 tonight.
And a -9 tonight. And so to be giving Wiseman and continuing to try to develop him, when I've seen a guy in Kuminga who has had positive contributions not getting in the rotation, it just surprises me.
Especially when you have this Magic team. When you play this Orlando Magic team, like they're just big. Like Paolo Banchero, big. Franz Wagner is like this big guard type guy. Bol, really tall. Wendell Carter Jr., really tall. Suggs is not big. He was put back in the lineup. But Kevon Harris is like stocky, big guard. Mo Bamba coming off the bench. They just have like
Very
all
enormous.
these big, like stocky type guys, and you need somebody like that can just like barrel in a little bit. But it wasn't really their offense that was the problem. I mean, the Warriors scored 129 points. What did they have? They had like a 123.1 offensive rating, which is just incredible for them.
Well, I mean, you get 15 3-pointers between Steph and Clay. I mean, how often do you think the Warriors have lost when the Splash Brothers combine for 45 points and 3-pointers? I'm guessing it's pretty rare, but that just shows you kind of where they're at. And the weird thing about the Warriors right now is that they obviously lost their veteran players who were good, and you're replacing them with young players who you think, and the whole plan for them this year is there might be ups and downs of the season, but by the end of the year, can you get those guys along? Right now, they have 6 players. 7 if you count JaMychal Green. I don't know if I fully count him in. I mean, to me, he played 16 minutes tonight. That's about what I think you should expect from JaMychal Green. I don't think he's going to be this guy's playing 20 to 25 minutes. They have 6 guys, and they're really good. A really, really, really good top 6, maybe the best top 6 in all of basketball, but there really aren't any other names that you look at there and go, that's the guy that you trust at this moment.
Yeah, the whole offseason thing where we're like, well, they're losing Otto Porter Jr., they're losing Gary Payton II, but if
Bielitsa.
But if James Wiseman, but if Moses Moody, if Kuminga, like all those ifs are not turning into, I guess they're all turning into buts. What's the opposite of an if? Like they're just not.
I think you nailed it. But we have to talk about Orlando.
Yeah.
So Golden State, I think they're going to be fine. Their top heavy talent is there. It's going to be up and down. I do think that this will be a struggle season for them. I know it's only 2 weeks into it, but there was a moment where you thought, especially like you see me think, okay, is this going to be a top 3 seed or whatever? I think you look at this and say, Wiseman's far away, Moody's far away, Kuminga's far away.
Yep.
It's probably not going to be the team that gets out to 55 wins this season. We'll see. But you go on the other side and look at Orlando Magic. I love this team's future. Are they tanking? Absolutely. This is going to be a tanking team at some point this year. I think they're going to start losing a lot of games. But this is one of many young teams in the NBA that I look around right now. There's like 4 or 5 guys that I really like. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner at the top of that list. Absolute studs. Wendell Carter Jr. has been playing great now for 2 seasons. And then you get Jalen Suggs, a performance like tonight. That's 4 guys. And that's before you get to all the other wild card fun guys like RJ Hampton and Bol. The league is so flush with talent that I'm almost envious of the Orlando Magics, the Oklahoma City Thunders of the world, who have all these really exciting young players.
Especially as a podcast host, to just like talk about one of those guys in their development like each night, instead of like
every night.
The refs ruined the game again, and you're like,
yeah,
talking
exactly.
about the same thing when you're competing. But yeah, I mean, Chuma Okeke is another guy. He hit 3 threes early on that kind of set the tone for the Magic. He ended up getting a closing. And you mentioned Jalen Suggs. Like, he had quite the night. 26 points, 9 assists, 4 steals. And he hit this crazy shot and got this he had this moment where Curry tried to kick it back to Draymond, about 30 seconds left. Curry's driving. He tries to kick it back to Draymond. Suggs steals it right out of the air. And as he steals it, he runs into his coach, Jamal Mosley. And then Jamal Mosley just like holds him in a hug and is like amping him up and like talking him up during that. And like, I almost saw like, I don't know if I saw a tear, but I just saw like Jalen Suggs finally had his like breakout moment. And he's been waiting for a game like this, it seems like. And If he's good for them, they don't need a ton of offense from him. His defense has been good, but if he's good for them, like that takes him up like a level.
I mean, 100%. And the thing with Orlando is, are they 3 years away? Are they 2 years away? If you have a Jalen Suggs who hits, and look, a lot of guards look bad their rookie season, and then their second year they start to piece it together, and then by year 3, the arc for non-superstar guards usually is 2 or 3, 4 seasons for them to get there. But he's a guy that right now, I just look at cornerstone piece Paolo Banchero. No question in my mind that guy's a cornerstone piece. And then you look at Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr. I know Wendell Carter's a little bit older, but Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr. to me are excellent, next guys, not superstars, but next guys that you want. So if you get a Suggs, and then who knows what happens in this lottery, I just really love that team. And then I have to give a shout out to Bol Bol, because he obviously was here in Denver. I followed him pretty closely. Didn't get a ton of opportunity. And when he did just looked very undisciplined, in some cases ungrateful. Just didn't seem like things were going to click for him. And I mean, he's still a very young prospect, but just from what I've seen, it sure looks like he's buying in and trying to do the things that you need to be a functioning NBA player, including getting some block shots.
Oh yeah, and the when they play the combo of Mo Bamba and Bol Bol, if you've seen it in person, it's one of the most jarring things that you'll watch. It's just limbs all over the place, and they're just so tall. And it's an interesting lineup to watch. But coming up, let's get into Oklahoma City versus the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray just dunked his way back right into all of our hearts. We'll talk about him and more coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a game that you can play where you can go and check out over-unders on players' points, rebounds, assists. You can even go over to the NFL, MMA, a bunch of different stuff. Pick 2 to 5 players, and pick if they will score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, and then you can win. Let's go and check it out right now on Prize Picks. You can use the promo code LOCKEDON to get a 100% instant match and go to the NBA. Bradley Beal against the Brooklyn Nets. Over-under, Adam Mares, 21.5 points. The Nets.
Over. Are you kidding me? They're going to light it up. Light it up.
Kyle Kuzma, 16.5 points. Over.
Over. I'm not taking the over. Man. Who's Brooklyn going to guard?
You want to go 3 for 3? Kristaps Porzingis, over under 21.5 points.
Under. We're going under there.
We're going under. You put down $20. If you do all 3 of those, put down $20. You can win $100 if they all hit. If you put down $100, you can win $500 on that play. So if you want to have some more fun at the NBA, go check it out. It's PrizePicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. All right, Adam Mares, let's talk about your Denver Nuggets against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that Thunder team is so pesky. They make you question what your strategy is at certain points in the game. But the Denver Nuggets win 122-110, and Jamal Murray has a breakout game.
Yeah, that was the story of the night. I mean, Jamal Murray, if you haven't been paying attention to the Nuggets, they're 5-3. They haven't really necessarily looked great. I know a lot of people have them as a dark horse candidate to win it all this year. I think that's a smart dark horse candidate, but they haven't necessarily looked like that out the gate. And a lot of that has been Jamal Murray coming off of basically 19 months, since his injury, hasn't really played. He's just been inconsistent at best and just looked a little slow, he looks like a guy that missed a year and a half. Tonight felt a little bit like I don't want to say watershed moment, because that would imply that you're completely over a hump. But this was a big check, box checked for Jamal Murray, where he took over a game, won the game for the Nuggets in the second half, and in particular in the fourth quarter, and punctuated it with an and one dunk through 2 defenders. A guy coming off of injuries, you want to see, one, does he have that fighting spirit? He had 24 points tonight, really was cooking in the second half. But then 2, do you have the confidence to attack the basket and the athletic pop to go up and finish through traffic? And tonight he caught a poster sooner than I would have expected, to be honest.
If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. I've seen a bunch of people tweet out the video where it's every single angle of the dunk, and it's just it's a palate cleanser. For all the stuff that happened in the NBA today, it's just an incredible thing to watch. He's going right-handed to the left side of the rim, and then just punches the ball back over the rim, and there's 2 guys right on it. It's an incredible dunk.
It's kind of a 180. He's kind of twisting in the air, goes through 2 guys, gets fouled, and finishes it. One of the underrated things about Jamal Murray that I think most people don't know, he's 6'5", he's pretty tall, and he has huge hands. And in that play, you kind of saw it because he's palming the ball. Some guys can't really palm it. They have to get the momentum and jump extra high. He's one of those guys that can palm it and move it around, in the air. And he kind of does it in that dunk.
What was the thing that stood out to you the most about Jamal Murray's game? Like, he scores 24 points. He has 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He shot the ball pretty well. What about his game looks different than some of the other games he's had this year?
To me, this is an easy one. The Nuggets were up 15 points in this game. They kind of blew it to start the second half. And Murray was fitting in, as he has pretty much this whole time. You haven't seen him be real aggressive. When the Nuggets lost control of the rope and actually the Thunder took the lead late in this game, Jamal Murray got mad. And it's sort of the first time we've seen Jamal Murray's been picking his spots. He knows he's not as good as he used to be at this very moment. He's working his way back up. And so, right, Jokic, you go to Porter, you go to these other guys. Tonight, he got mad and kind of cleared everyone out. He was yelling at guys, telling them where to be, kind of bossing his team around, but then just demanding the ball and taking over the game as an individual for a stretch there that was extremely key to regain the lead. So to me, we hadn't seen that. I didn't expect to see it tonight. And just the fact that he had the confidence to sort of say, all right, this is my job. This is where I used to step up, and I'm going to step up tonight and win the game for you. And he did it.
Here in Dallas, Luka has 2 modes. It's fun Luka, and then cover your ears, children. It's asshole Luka. It's the other one. So Jamal Murray tapped into that. I feel like every star player has that version of, like, the LeBron Miami meme where he's like glaring at the other side of the court. And it's good to see Jamal Murray have that. Jokic, I thought had a strange start to this game where he had his second field goal attempt with like 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. He finishes his game with just 15 points. He did have 13 boards and 14 assists though. 10 turnovers. Like, it seemed like he was really just trying to get everybody involved early on. What's his approach to it, and why was he not as aggressive?
Well, coming into tonight, he's only averaging 21 points per game and only 12 field goal attempts per game. I think those both numbers now lower after tonight, as he only scores 15 and only took, I think, 9 shots. So he has been in this mode, and I know some people are a little up and down about it. Like, the numbers don't quite pop like they have in years past, even though the assists and rebounds are up, the points just being a little bit down. But here's the thing. They scored 72 points in the first half of this game. They were making threes. Guys had it rolling. I think Jokic is more comfortable as in this role. In the second half, he did start to, when the Nuggets were starting to slide, I thought he got more aggressive. And then Jamal took over and the game was sort of won. But for me, I'm not concerned. I've seen a lot of people saying, what's going on with Jokic this year? What's going on is he's playing the assist man. His assists are at a career high. He seems very comfortable trying to just like show guys, hey, play off of me. I don't need to score. I'm trying to pass first. And Michael Porter, Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Bruce Brown, the new guys who weren't here last year, I think they've all really benefited from that approach so far.
Aaron Gordon, kind of the unsung hero so far. He had 15 points in the first quarter, hit all 3 of his threes. Like, just an incredible, 21 to 4 run out of the gate. He had 27. What have you seen from him so far this season, especially in this game where it looked like he was scoring everywhere?
Well, he was, and he's been great. First of all, he set a career high last year with 130 dunks. Playing with Jokic for the first time, for a full season, 130 dunks was a career high. He's on pace, I think, for 250 dunks this season. He is dunking everything. Tonight, he had one of the best dunks of the entire season. A one-handed putback dunk where he catches it one hand, kind of like avoids a defender and puts it back all in one sort of motion. He's just been dunking everything. And, you talk about, you have Jokic, he demands a lot of attention. You have Michael Porter, he's shooting 50% from 3. He demands a lot of attention. Everybody knows what Jamal Murray can do. KCP's a great shooter. That's a lot of shooting. That's a lot of spacing. Mm-hmm. Aaron Gordon's the beneficiary now, where he's the guy sort of attacking the paint, cutting, and just finishing at the rim. And he's been just hyper efficient this year. And it's been good to see. And then tonight, he's been struggling from the 3-point line. Last game and this game, he's kind of gotten his stroke from 3-point line. And tonight he was on fire, 3 of 4.
On the Thunder side, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 37 points, 0 3-point attempts. When does that happen besides DeMar DeRozan really anymore in the NBA?
That's wild.
He was incredibly efficient, 11 of 11 from the free throw line. He looked great. Lou Dort had 19 points. Giddey looked pretty good with 16 points and 5 assists. How did you mentioned the Thunder took a lead right before the end of the third quarter. How did they get back in this game?
Well, they got back. You almost just brushed over it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 37 points on 17 shots, and none of those were threes?
Insane.
That's insane efficiency. 13 of 17 shooting. Oh, I thought that was you doing a drop. It was my auto player on ESPN.
Oh, I was like, no,
that's why I paused. I was like, is this another Nick drop?
No.
No, Shai, 37 points. And that guy just cannot be guarded one-on-one. He's so tall. He's so long. You put Bruce Brown on him, he just shoots right over him. And Shai is among the best in the NBA. He's almost Giannis-like in his ability to get to that 10-foot spot. Not quite a mid-range, like a little closer to a mid-range, but not quite a floater, and then just go up for a jumper, a little 10-foot jumper. He gets to that spot whenever he wants, and then he's 6'7", nothing you can do to block him. That guy is one of the more unguardable one-on-one players, and the way that the Oklahoma City Thunder use him, spreading the court and letting him just attack with drives, he's averaging the third most points in the NBA this year. I'm not sure that number is going to drop too much.
I was going to say, we talked about different power rankings we could do, and one of mine was there's 9 players averaging 30 points a game. Which one's the least likely to stay there? And if you ask any random NBA fan, they'd be like, oh, Shai's not going to average 30. And I'm like, I don't know, man. He's scoring so easy. And you kind of wonder, a lot of people have talked about, what the Thunder are doing is just reprehensible. And it's been kind of great for SGA at times when he is not forced to not play, because he's just out there all right, I'll just run in-game reps where I just drive and drive and drive. He led the league in drives per game. Was it last year?
He's going to do it again this year.
He's probably
got to be.
He's going to do it again. You look at his shot chart in this game. He took 5 shots at the free throw line, 1 on the right block, 2 over in the left baseline, I guess, and then all the rest of them right at the rim. I mean, he's getting a masterclass the last couple of years and just driving, getting to his spot, and then finishing. It's been incredible to watch him this year.
He's averaging 28 drives a game. He's leading the NBA again this year. 28 drives. 28. And by the way, John Morant's second with 22. So he is 6.5 drives per game more than number 2. And we're only a couple games in, to the season. He's already got that lead. The guy really is an incredible basketball player. I will say this. You just mentioned, the situation they're in. I try to envision what does the final form of a Thunder team look like. They're so far, unlike the Magic where you can see a couple pieces.
Yeah.
The Thunder, to me, I don't know, because we haven't seen Chet. We don't know who's the number 2. There's some really good players there, but I don't know if there's a good number 2. I don't know what he looks like as a championship cornerstone piece. Is it this? It's really effective. It's really efficient, but then how do you build around it? It's just weird. Oklahoma City, they have a great player on their hands, and I'm not sure exactly what he's becoming.
It'd be great if they just traded him to the Mavericks and he could play next to Luka, and that he'd just be, he'd be an incredible number 2. But that's how
this is what's funny. Tonight, I actually said, I wonder if his best role is Jalen Brunson, which is to say, what that's to say, a number 2 attacker, right? You got Luka's the number 1 attacker, and then Shai attacks second. Maybe that is the best option. Some player of that caliber where he's just looking to score and drive, and I don't know.
Well, and you hoped maybe that that Chet could be the number 1. That
he's good,
and then they hoped that they would be bad enough to get Wembanyama. But I don't know with this team. They're so scrappy. They make you rethink about what your team's doing at times. That
they have good guard play. I think they're far away from their front court, and I think watching them tonight, I think they're going to lose a lot of games. Spoiler alert, I'm picking them. They're 4-4, but I just look at the Pokusevski, JRE. There's not the front court is where they kind of lose me. Muscala. I think they're going to lose a lot of games just because of those guys.
Yeah, and they just got to get to I don't know what 5th worst odds so that they have 10% chance to get the number 1.
Right.
I mean, if you get in that range, then all of a sudden you have you still have a good chance with the flattened lottery odds. But all right, coming up, let's talk about our breakout candidates of the year so far in our power rankings that we do every week on Friday. We'll talk about that coming up. All right, Adam. This NBA season, they've had some breakout stars. Some of them have not been on the court. We're going to talk about the ones on the court, though. Who have been some of the breakout stars this season on the court in the NBA?
We may have talked about a few of these today. Let me put these in order. But first, I'm going to give you a couple honorable mentions. And guess what? Spoiler alert. They're both on the Orlando Magic.
Wow.
Number 1, Paolo Banchero. Now, the reason he's not I can't put him on the list. The actual list is he's a rookie. Can you be, tell me, Nick, your opinion. Can you be a breakout candidate if you're a rookie?
It's like giving most improved to a second-year player, right? It's like I don't know about that, but I don't think you can be, if you're the number 1 pick, you're just kind of expected. He just ended up being kind of what we hoped he could be just right away. He was just a pleasant surprise in that way.
He's so polished. I absolutely love his game. I mean, I just have no doubts about this guy being a cornerstone player.
Yeah.
Like that's 100% cornerstone player. And there's areas he can improve, but he's just so much more polished than most players. So he gets mentioned. And then his teammate, Bol. I did not see this one coming. Paolo Banchero's been better than I expected, but I expected him to be good. Bol, I did not expect to play NBA minutes for a basketball team this year. And here he is getting 21 minutes a game. 10 points a game, and then look at him over here blocking 2.6 shots in those minutes, among the NBA's leaders in block shots per 36 minutes. I mean, this guy, I don't know. He's only honorable mention because he's not quite playing enough minutes, but he's still been so impactful.
He's too small for Luka, though. Did you see that the other night where Luka hit a floater over him and hit him with the too small going back down?
Oh no. He might lead the NBA in blocks per 36 minutes this year. He's right neck and neck with Miles Turner, Bismack Biyombo. I mean, how crazy is that? Bol. That's wild. All right. Those are honorable mentions. They're not the actual list. Number 5 on my list, Trey Murphy.
Wow.
Give it up for Trey Murphy.
Wow.
Why is this a wow? I'm kind of surprised by this. He has been absolutely, like last year, Herbert Jones breaks out for the New Orleans Pelicans. He's the talk of the town. This year, take a look at New Orleans and how they have been using him. He's a mainstay in the rotation right now. He's the 5th leading scorer. He's playing 33 minutes a night, 15 points per game, and from the three-point line on 6 attempts a game, he's shooting 47.5. This guy's been great. He's got length. He plays within the system. I think he's super smart. He's got great footwork. I think this guy's a player.
Just wow that it was a name that you don't normally hear, and another Pelican to just kind of break out here. It feels like they keep grabbing these guys. But yeah, he's shooting 52, 47, 92. Like his shooting splits. Like, I don't know. That may be a new club they're going to have to name for him. But
it doesn't feel, also like watching him play, it doesn't feel unsustainable. And I think part of this, when I'm talking about he's a smart player, he knows where he belongs in the pecking order and shoots appropriately. Meaning he's not one of these guys that's like doesn't know what a good shot is. He just picks good shots and he's capable of making a lot of them. I think he's going to be a very good player, and I think his name is going to pop up a lot this year.
There you go. His shooting stroke looks incredible too when you see it in real life.
Yeah. This next one's tough, number 4, because there's a player that was already broken out, but has broken out even more. How do you quantify that? I don't know. But Desmond Bane making the leap. Last year, 18 points per game. Down the stretch in the playoffs, he was a player. He's up to 25 points per game this year. 25. And from the three-point line on 9 attempts a game, 9, he's shooting 47%. This is a guy that last year, Ja Morant was a breakout superstar, and the Grizzlies had a lot of players that were interesting, like a lot of guys you could throw at me. This year, I kind of think Memphis has a duo. Like, I'm starting to think of Desmond Bane and Ja Morant as a duo.
Well, on Locked On Grizzlies, they've definitely been talking about when one of them is out and the other one's in, it's like been really hard for them to win. So they're like talking about them on not the same level, but talking about them in the same sentence in that way. Can you win Most Improved like the year after you should have won Most Improved, but then like you improved just a little bit more, and so then you could win it? Also, it just stinks that he has short arms.
So true. It's the funniest thing. But honestly, like, here's the thing. Here's where I'm getting at with Desmond Bane. When we talk about the best guards in the West, you got the usual suspects, your Dames and your Stephs, and you go through the list. That next tier, though, I kind of look at him and I go, is he passing some people? Like, there's some people out west that I think you might be starting to say, hey, I just think he's better than a lot of guys who are typically ranked ahead of him. He might be surprising some people. 25 points per game is a lot.
Name some names, Adam Mares.
I know, I almost did, and then I said, you saw me almost go there, and then like stop. But I mean, you've got your like, it's weird to say, but you got your like Anthony Edwards, your D'Angelo Russells, like those guys. Anthony Edwards, I think a lot of people would have like, okay, he's ahead. I know he's a little bit more of a wing, but I don't know. Desmond Bane's 47% from 3, 25 points per game. He keeps this up. 25 points per game, 47% from 3. That's an insane efficiency.
Killing it.
So we'll see.
Killing it.
Number 3, we talked about him a little bit earlier. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous, I got to give him the shout out here because 30 plus points. I think just the raw stats, the counting stats, 32 points per game. And then we're going with 6 assists, by the way, and 5 rebounds. And he just makes it look so easy. He's also hyper efficient. He's not necessarily a great 3-point shooter, but he also doesn't take them when he doesn't have to. He's been insane. 4th leading scorer in the NBA. I don't know what else to say about him.
He's been awesome. I hope for Thunder fans that he stays on the team for a while, but it's feeling like a I
don't know.
Give it up for the highest bidder, maybe.
I mean, here's the thing. So he averaged 24.5 last year. This is the Desmond Bane problem. He was averaging a lot of points last year, and then this year he's been even better. So it's weird to call him breakout because he's already broke out the last 2 years, but it feels like there's a leap in him this year.
It feels like he would get all-star votes this year, though, right? If you're like,
I mean, at this very moment, how could you not?
Right.
He's got to. I mean, this could be a first-year all-star for sure. The next guy I have on my list, Anthony Simons. This is a guy they've been talking about up in Portland for years, telling us he's the next big thing. Last year, 17 points per game. He was pretty good. He's pretty good. He's been an inferno this year. He's actually only at 37%, which is a little bit shocking, but he has had 2 games now with 7+ 3-pointers. Wow. That guy just can get microwave hot. And it's funny. You had Dame and CJ for the longest. Last year, you split them up. Kind of get the CJ vibes from him almost a little bit of you kind of feel like it's the same. You got a similar thing there.
Except for I feel like he can get hotter from 3, and CJ was more of the mid-range stuff was really going down for him.
And maybe a little steadier. I mean, Simon still, to me, feels like not feast or famine, but a little bit of like the variance between his good and bad games is still really, really, really far.
Right. A lot of West guards breaking out this year.
I know, what the heck. Actually, all my guys, you know what? Honorable mention to East guys, my breakout candidates, all West guys. Is that my West Coast?
I was going to say, West Coast bias with the 2 West hosts here.
It's so true, man. I'm biased. It's so funny. Where are my guys from? New Orleans, Memphis, Oklahoma City, Portland, Orlando, and now Utah. I'm a small market guy, Nick. Small market Adam here, but I got to give a shout to the number 1 breakout candidate, Lowry Bird, a.k.a. Lowry Markkinen. This guy who had the Utah Jazz being where they are. Are they 5-3 or 6-2? Where are they at? Let me look it up, make sure. 6-3. Yeah. 6-3. And here's who's the best player? Who's the cornerstone piece of this team? It's Lowry Markkinen, no questions. And he's 22 points per game right now on very good efficiency. And he's legitimately interesting. Like you watch his games, he plays with it himself. He doesn't press. And then every now and then he has like 3 or 4 plays in a row where he just ISOs a good defender and gets buckets. And you think, my God, is this an ISO clear out? It's his time to cook guy? I wouldn't have guessed it, but here we are.
On Locked On Jazz, David Locke very casually said, and he's a really good defender. And I was like, Larry Markkinen? Like, this is not what we've been used to seeing with Larry Markkinen. I feel like Bulls fans watching Larry Markkinen now would be like, what is happening? Is Jim Boylan like that bad, or like what? What is going on that Larry Markkinen is now incredible right now? But this is the guy you thought he could be coming out of college. I mean, he's not shooting the 3 ball super well at this point, shooting 29%, but he's scoring in a bunch of other different ways. I mean, he's posting up, he can drive, he's like doing a bunch of just different things,
playing tough,
and leading that Jazz team, which is wild.
He had a very good Eurobasket, playing for Team Finland. He had a couple of very nice games there, and I feel like he just carried that momentum and confidence. And it's funny, when you have trades like the one that you have that landed Lowry in Utah, sometimes it just takes the right situation for a young player. Where you've been around, like last year, he was a good player, by the way, but a good player there. But you got other guys whose names are a little bit, bigger. You're building more around the Garlands and the Mobleys. You get out to Utah, and there was an opportunity. I'll be honest, I wasn't looking at that Utah team saying, oh, Lowry's going to be the cornerstone of that team. But here we are, and he really is, and he's fulfilled it nicely.
It's been incredible to watch them, and we'll see what happens to them. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Go check out Locked On Nuggets. Go check out Locked On Mavs for your daily talk on those teams. Also, go check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps of the World Series probably, and take of the day available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Boom.